This week's episode of The Graveyard Shift is brought to you by our It Pennywise Funko Pop giveaway. Have a listen to our It 2017 bonus episode that we released on September 11th to learn how to enter. It's super easy to enter and it is completely free. Just something we want to do for you guys for being so awesome and showing us so much love and support. So please have a listen for your chance to win. And now, I'm doing the intro a little different this time around, guys, because I usually, you've been listening to the show, I usually do the intro by myself, but not today because Mike is with me.
Hey!
Hey, Mike. And there is a reason that Mike is with me, because we had a guest on our show who was freaking awesome. His name is Robert Christopher. He's a musician and composer. And actually, we're going to start off the episode just after his intro with a sample of some of his music that he does. He's very good at doing some very creepy, scary, ambient music. He does other stuff too, but we just wanted to feature that because, hey, we are a horror show after all. But he's also a fan of the show. He's been listening regularly. And even though he is a fan, Mike, he took a little bit of issue with some things that you had to say during our episode where we featured The Shining.
A little bit is an understatement.
He disagreed with some of the comments you made.
In my first 5 minutes of chatting with this guy, I was on the floor in stitches, and he would have wanted me in, well, I guess other stitches, because, yeah, apparently he disagreed with a few things.
Yeah. He did. This was a little bit of it was before we actually started. We were recording, but before we actually started getting into the episode, he just had to get some things off his chest, first of all, about that, because he really loves The Shining, and
he made his displeasure known.
He did. And Mike, just so that people can get a taste of it, how about we just give them a little sample of how this little pre-episode recording went?
Sure, we're about to give you a few of our greatest hits of our pre-conversation with Robert. But if you wanted to hear a little bit more, you could get the whole unabridged conversation and more on our Patreon at patreon.com/graveyard if you want to hear the whole conversation. But here is Robert Christopher and what he thinks of Mike. Enjoy.
I propose a new segment. No, maybe not a segment. What did you add? WTF? What the fuck?
Yeah, to the list.
I think we got to add a do we take Wendy's bat or do we take Steven Weber's croquet mallet to Mike for bitching out the Shining, which is a major inspiration, and you were going off on the font. How dare you go off on the font?
So it was so blasé.
I am dragging you. I'm blocking Wendy and Danny and the snowcat. I'm dragging you to the hedge maze, and I know it's not the best way to ingratiate yourself to a host, but I'm gonna lightly tap you in the stomach with the bat so you bend over. Okay, just no internal damage, no internal bleeding. I'm not going crazy like Jack yet, and then. We got the I got the mallet.
To get my attention.
Yeah, that's just to get your attention. Knock the wind out of you a little. If you want some blood, I'll nick you on the eyebrow, so you have a little drop of blood, so a little contrast with the white snow and everything.
For a little dramatic effect.
A little dramatic effects.
A little blood trickle, yeah.
A little blood trickle, and then the question is, do you want to get whacked with the croquet mallet, or are you gonna change your opinion on the opening of The Shining? Because who gives a shit about the fucking color of the font?
Clearly not Kubrick.
Mike does, obviously.
Come on, I know. Listen. I know Kubrick is anally retentive, or was anally retentive, but come on.
He's a lot more agreeable now.
Yes, but how could you not be taken in with the visuals? I'm saying, why is the font? In the beginning, you have this awesome, scary music. You're sucked in right from the get-go. It's awesome. You got the Volkswagen going through the forest and everything, and you're worried about the light blue font. That's what you should be watching, is the picturesque scenery, not the font.
Oh my God.
What do you want, everything to be the thing?
It's like I'm being railed on by Bill Burr.
Yes. No, do you want the mallet or not? That's the new. That's what Sheldon needs. Sheldon is like, instead of WTF, does Mike get the mallet? That's what we're gonna call that segment. If Mike fucks up, does he get the mallet?
Oh, that guy is a caution, isn't he?
That still makes me laugh. Guys, yeah, that's just a small sample. Like, we chatted for, it had to be like half an hour before we even started recording. And
I have the sound file. It was 50 minutes.
Oh, well, there you go. And we were up so late doing this episode because we went off the rail so many times, but you get the benefit from it because that was, like I said, that was just a small sample. If you're a Patreon member, you can hear the whole thing because we're actually going to put it as a Patreon bonus episode, exclusive episode, I should say, for Patreon members for September. And not only we're going to have the entire conversation, pre-episode conversation, I should say, leading before we started recording the episode, but also an extended version of tonight's episode. So yes, if you're a Patreon member, you get 2 exclusive Patreon bonus episodes this month. So congratulations, you lucky Patreon donors.
You get today's episode bigger, longer, and uncut.
Oh, and it is, guys, seriously, it is freaking hilarious. We just thought, even though we went off the rails so many times, and the beginning conversation had nothing to do with the actual episode, it was just too hilarious. We were cracking up the whole time. Robert is freaking hilarious, and we said, we just can't give this up. This can't just disappear. People need to hear this.
But we also know that not everyone wants to hear a 3-hour podcast.
No.
And some of you are, you're dour, you're humorless. You don't want to hear 2.5 hours of jokes. You just want to find out what's in the movie. Is it good or is it not? And to that I say, we thank you for your patronage, but we probably want to hang out with you.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we've alienated our fans.
Yeah, now that we've alienated some of our fans and pissed some people off, let's get going, I guess. So, yeah, enjoy, guys. Robert Christopher is our guest, and we're going to lead in with some of the music he's made, and enjoy the show. Welcome to episode 17 of the Graveyard Shift Horror Podcast, where each week we watch a movie from the horror category and tell you what we liked and didn't like about it. So if you haven't seen it, you can decide if you'd like to, and if you have, you can decide whether or not we are complete idiots. And yes, I said we because I never worked a graveyard shift alone. Please say hello to the guy who was disappointed when he found out that this week's movie wasn't a documentary about the cranberries, my co-host Mike.
Hey, everybody.
Mike, how are you doing today, sir?
Pretty darn good. I've been anticipating this episode, and in the pre-conversation with our guest, I was not disappointed. So I'm all amped up, and I'm doing great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm good anytime we get to watch a classic zombie movie, and that's exactly what we got to do this week. And like Mike said, we didn't watch this one alone because we do have someone joining us tonight. He was the guy that suggested this movie. He is musician, composer, And the creator of the music you heard during the opening of the show. Please say hello to Robert Christopher. Robert, welcome to the show.
Yay! Thanks, guys. How are you?
Good, good. Wow, this is a long time coming. We've been talking back and forth for quite a while, so it's good to finally have you on board.
Yes. I feel like we've been just talking for hours and hours.
I feel the same. I can't explain it.
I don't
feel
know.
Like we've already had like a good chat about
Yeah,
pretty much everything.
I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. I might need a mallet.
So, Robert, we got to know you pretty well over the past. I got to know you pretty good over the past few weeks. Mike got to know you pretty well over the past couple of hours. But how about you tell about yourself for listeners who may not be familiar with you or your work?
Well, I'm a musician. I ripped Mike a new one. It's hard to explain because I'm kind of in flux. I am a musician, but I'm not making any music at the moment. That's a bad intro. I'm sorry. Wow. You guys just drained it out of me.
Well, one of the things that I want to mention about you is that because first when me and you met, actually, I got pointed towards your YouTube channel where you have some really good ambience music that is like just a perfect music for the backdrop of a horror movie or first, as soon as I listened to a few tracks you had on your YouTube channel, all I could say was like, man, this is going to be on my Halloween playlist for sure because it sets just the right mood for the trick-or-treaters. It has a way of capturing like quite the eerie feeling, and I loved it. I was like, I was at work and first when I got turned onto your channel and just like let it play for what seemed like hours.
Thank you. This will be a better answer. If you, yes. But I don't consider myself just a horror or ambient musician. I'm actually a guitar player by trade, if you could, so to speak. And I have a lifelong affinity for horror, but not just only horror. I like any good cinema. Mm-hmm. And I decided that, I am not Justin Bieber or Selena Gomez. And that I would go in that direction since I liked it so much. And a lot of people had said it reminds them of Silent Hill. It could be in a horror movie. It could be in this. So it seemed to work. And I continued with it.
Yeah. Well, it is fantastic. Yeah, we're going to.
I'm glad you liked it. It's not. Yeah. It's not strictly It's not all Halloween and all because you can't. No. You can't just. Otherwise, it's like writing Iron Man 10 times in a row and calling it a Black Sabbath album. You can't. You gotta have a. You gotta have a little light parts, and it's not just. It's not overwhelmingly. It's not death metal.
No, it's not.
It's dark. It's dark ambient. It's mood, but in my personal opinion, I don't want to spoon feed the audience. I would rather they listen and create the movie in their mind. So I'm writing the soundtrack to the movie that's in their mind.
Yeah, there you go. That is probably the best way of describing it. Like that's very mood driving for sure.
Yes, I'm not going to knock other musicians who do this, but they kind of spoon feed you this big story and you wind up reading a novel and it's like, I'd rather, the way you're going to take it may not be the way someone else accepts it. They might enjoy it in a different fashion instead of a horror kind of concept. They might like to paint to it or they might like to write to it. I've gotten compliments like that. Say, this is great. I like listening to this while I do whatever. It could be just background music for people who like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So it's music for people who always like march to the beat of a different drum. What might be scary for them might not be scary for some.
Yes, exactly. But to be honest with you, I have one track that I thought was kind of soft, laconic, lazy, moody, kind of lazy kind of feel to it. And I got all kinds of things from, this should be in Silent Hill. This reminds me of The Shining. This reminds me. And I was like, really? So you're going to get you can't take all the feedback and be like, take it personally. You really can't choose how people are going to receive it. You write it, you put it out there. And if people like it, great. If they don't like it, that's fine too. But you can't pre-program them to be, okay, you have to like it in this way. You can't be Steve Jobs and say, I want to sell 1 million Macs in 6 months. Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
That's like those executives that are just like, okay, we need to make a viral video.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
Oh, make it viral.
I like it to be more natural. I'll ask the question and then I'll answer it. So I'll save you the question. What was my biggest inspiration? Back in the day, even before MTV, I'm before an MTV kind of person. I listened to records with no video. Yes, you YouTube people.
Can you imagine such a thing ever existed?
Can you imagine such a thing as actually listening to the music? So I grew up on what I liked, what my parents played in the car. So I had a wide variety from, disco to rock, even new wave, because, I reached that age where you go to the beach with your friends and, can't put on Black Sabbath when you go into the beach. You could, but they wanted to listen to what was popular on the radio. Mm-hmm. And movies, sound, film scores were a big inspiration. Like The Shining with the light blue font was a big inspiration. And believe it or not, Godzilla. How he got that the sound of Godzilla's squawk or scream or whatever
I know this one.
Yeah, it's a cello.
Yeah, it's a cello with like a dusting mitt or something, isn't it?
He's got a leather glove.
A leather glove, okay.
A leather glove and rosin or resin, or I forget how it's said with a cello. And they detuned it, and he was rubbing the cello. That's how they got that sound. Shit. And yeah, exactly. And
Chewbacca was like, what was it, like a lion and a bear, and like they played some animals backwards and
yeah. They did that. They did a lion and a buzz saw for the dinosaur. Jurassic Park, yes.
Yeah.
But that wasn't music. That was. But as a kid, I watched the pro wrestling Godzilla, with Godzuki. So I watched those films, and you watched, and I watched horror films, and so, like I said, The Shining is Black Sabbath, The Shining, and then everything afterwards. But that was the beginning because I started very, very young, and I'll tell a really quick, interesting story of why I thought, because I had a 7-year-old brain, and that's why I thought it was crazy. Went to a friend's house. He wasn't home. Sister is there. And she said, okay, you could come in, and listen to the records till he gets home. Put on the Black Sabbath song, Black Sabbath album, the first song, Black Sabbath. And there's the bell, and it's raining, or it's thundering. And I look out the window, and it got really dark really fast. When clouds move in real fast? Mm-hmm. And I looked out the window, and it started to rain. And I was like, how the fuck did they know it was raining? So that blew my mind. I was like, do they know it's raining here? So when you're 7 years old and you're like, hear thunder, and then it's like the perfect timing of thunder and lightning, and then it's really raining outside, it had a unique effect on me, as well as The Shining, the screaming, having the synth do these screaming wails. And it's a funeral dirge for priests, I believe. It's a dirge, which is it's supposed to be a very powerful. So it came across powerful, except to Mike, I should say. He wasn't entranced with the picturesque scenery or the helicopter shot. He was the light blue is what he was entranced.
I think you're the first guest. I think you're the first guest that's listened to previous episodes.
Yeah. No. I liked that. I learned something new because how could you follow everything? It's like, I don't know how people follow apps. There's an app to tell you when there's new apps. It's crazy. But, you guys did Train to Busan, and I was like, okay, let me check this out. And I was like, oh, it's on Netflix. Watched it. It was cool. So, I listened because it's how many podcasts horror podcasts can you listen to? And I like you.
Oh.
Well, that's always good.
We could have we could talk we could be intelligent. We could talk like adults and not pander.
That's right.
Yeah, that's what's good about your show. So guys, that's my big inspiration is that film score that made me start to think, wow, I like this, and I started to, listen differently. I started to listen like a musician, and though I didn't know it because I was a little kid, so I listened. You didn't have. Like I said, you just listened to the radio and records. That's all there was back then. Wow, I sound like I'm 95. Back in the good old days.
Well, speaking of old, have you ever seen those old Hammer horror movies?
Yes.
How awesome was 1958 Dracula's opening score? Like, it is haunting and horrifying before you even see a person. Yes. You're already on pins and needles.
But you know what? I watched those films. I saw the Hammer films. I don't know if you had the same channels up in Canada, but we had Channel 5 is when we got. I'm in New York, to just say that. So clear that up.
Your accent wasn't a giveaway. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, guys. I can't get rid of it. We had Channel 5. We had the Big Apple movie. I don't know what you had the equivalent of. You probably had a Saturday afternoon package or a Friday night.
We had Elvira.
Oh.
I remember she introduced some horror movies, but the movies that I got to see, like 90% of them was my dad renting them from the local video store.
Oh, no. See, that was the thing, was my dad, even though he passed away young, he was a guitar player too. So and my mom was cool. And like I said to like I talked to Sheldon earlier, and you'll fill in the gaps here. We watched these movies. We thought they were movies. I believed I watched them as movies, and it didn't make me a serial killer. It didn't make me a rapist. It didn't make me, anything. I just watched it as a movie. I mean, I knew what the difference between reality, even as a kid, the difference between reality and what a movie was.
I played WrestleMania with a kid once, and I broke his collarbone. So I think I'm one of those impressionable kids. I didn't try to bite anybody though, so I guess it was just WrestleMania that influenced me.
Hulkamania was running wild in your brain then, right, Mike?
Hulk was a bad man then, and he's a bad man now.
And when are they the real person talking about something, and when are they in character to sell whatever product they want to sell? Like, I think Hulk Hogan is always he's not Terry Bollea anymore. I think he's always Hulk Hogan. I think 24/7 is Hulk Hogan.
Terry died about 20 years ago.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. It's like you got to stop the work. But yeah, that was those were the inspirations, and then lots of TV and then video games. Like I said, the Resident Evil, Silent Hill. All of those games came out. Even some of the Atari games had some interesting music in it. So I started to listen more, and and when people wouldn't listen, like going to let's say you went to the state fair or whatever, and you go to the fun house, I listened. So I was a geek. I was a geek and I didn't know it. I was a music geek and I didn't know it. But I liked a lot of stuff. So like when my Metallica friends say like, "How could you listen to Madonna?" I was like, "I'm like figuring out the bass line or something." You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's like, what, you like Wham? I was like, I don't know. It's kind of like, how much could you listen to heavy metal?
Yeah, have you heard that bass line? Come on.
But like, you have, when you go to a wedding, you're not listening to, well, maybe now you might listen to Blacks. I went to a wedding where they played they danced to Bark at the Moon. They did that. Nice. So I was like, oh my God.
I'm just glad the first dance wasn't Killing Moon.
No. So yeah, no. Well, now it might be because the generation is aged enough to now that might be cool to do Bark at the Moon. But back in the day, you did you had all different kinds of music. You had the
Back then, like the weirdo did the chicken dance
yeah
at
the
their
chick
wedding.
the
That
chicken
was
dance.
like we're so rebellious.
Yeah. Now you could be rebellious and have Ozzy and not just the ballads, just do like the band was doing like the whole Bark at the Moon. I was like, really? Were you like just so sucked in when MTV came out and it was on heavy rotation? It was a Bark at the Moon themed wedding. Imagine that.
Wow.
So
It was pretty awesome.
So between block parties and girlfriends, and you can't, if you like girls, you're not gonna play too much heavy metal, especially where I live. Uh, you just and older people and the cool crazy guy that's like down the block that's like, oh, you got to listen to this, and you learn. You absorb. I absorbed from everybody.
Are there any heavy metal love ballads?
Yeah.
Really heavy metal?
Oh, you mean really heavy metal? Well,
Yeah.
with
I know Meatloaf. He bordered with his passion. He bordered on like metal.
Meatloaf? No.
No,
With
come
his
on now.
power
Meatloaf.
ballads?
Meatloaf was I don't know, stagey rock.
Yeah.
I don't know what you want to call it. Dancing. He was opera, not opera. But I'm saying like.
Well, I always thought that metal and opera were kind of like two sides of like it was like basically metal was like opera with electricity because it's like loud, bombastic.
Well, no, that's what they say. Yeah, that's what
emphatic.
they say about classical music. Is that classical music has got that power? Like Wagner has got that power.
Yeah, that guy was
That was
metal before.
That
there
was
like,
it was metal. He was. You know how metal he was? He had a bass or a contrabass. I forget what it's really called. It was so high it needed two men to perform it. That's how deep he could get. So yeah, he was Black Sabbath before Black Sabbath was even a movie. Forget about a band.
Awesome.
Yeah, lots of just about everything. Just I when I look back now, I go, yeah, I was definitely a geek.
Keeping on horror, did you ever hear Christopher Lee's Metal Christmas albums?
No, I did not. But I heard I knew that he had won some. The Golden Gods gave him an award. How old was he when he passed away? Was he like
93?
93? And what did he make the album like 91?
No, he made the album like the heavy metal albums are around like only like 4 years old.
Yeah, they
So
were like
he was
in his-
hitting 90s, and he's like,
Yeah.
I'm going to do
Yeah.
a metal Christmas album.
I remember
and
actually,
then I'll do it again.
I actually remember the clip because it was Tony Iommi who, from Black Sabbath, that said, I remember watching his movies when I was a teenager, and that was a very long time ago. He's going to be 70 years old, so
Yeah, he's the guy that pretty much. Yeah, that's the guy that pretty much invented metal because he downtuned his guitar and he couldn't play because he blew off his fingers.
Black Sabbath sound is like the best result of an industrial accident ever.
yes, yes. That's why I say I bless the machine. I'm going to write.
Absolutely.
I gotta when I come up. Sometimes when you write a piece of music, you don't know what to title it. But I wrote that down in a file. I was like, bless the machine, because I was like, thank you for that machine. And then you got to thank the guy that gave him the Django Reinhardt record. Django Reinhardt was a guitar player, a very happy sounding guitar player, by the way, who really lost his fingers halfway down in a fire. But he was still able to play with the nubs of the fingers and the two fingers that still worked, and which you don't want to hear when you're just lost the tip of your fingers, and then the hospital tells you, well, we got nothing for you, so good luck.
Yeah.
You don't want your friend to come over and bring you an album of like beautiful music. You're like, fuck, I can't play. What do I need this for? That's wonderful. That's great. That's amazing. But I can't play.
You can weld these picks to some rings and put them on your stubs, and that's it. Good luck.
Yeah, he was pretty much. He went through the depressing phase, and then he said, "You know what? I'm gonna do it." And then he did it with like I said, with the tip, like a Visine bottle, like the tip. You take the top of the bottle off, and he melted that down, and he just worked it to make it look like till it could he could fret the guitar, and and put the piece of leather on because when he first started, he couldn't grip the strings. And now that he's 70, everybody asks him, how much of that jacket do you have left? He's like, not that much, but he's like, thank God I made it through all of these years. You know?
Please tell me his next album after doing that was called Just the Tip.
Oh, wow. Get the mallet.
Yeah, I'm getting the mallet. I'm
getting the mallet. He does. There is a song called "A Bit of Finger," but I don't know what the inspiration might be. But yeah, for me, it's like I thank God because I was like, he is the inspiration, not just the heavy stuff that they were able to make. I guess you would call surreal or unusual, different. Anything that's not pop is going to be considered bizarre. You know what I'm saying? If it isn't middle down the road, white bread, vanilla, for the masses, what do you consider it?
Yeah, like
you could put almost any label on it. So
aberrant.
No, but a lot of it is beautiful. I mean,
deviant. If you're like an old lady, then you can be
scary.
If you're a moral crusader, then you could be like, it's deviant.
Oh, what are they called now? Social justice warriors. I don't want to.
Those are good people. The assholes are the political oversensitive ones.
Yes, but I don't think we live in that world anymore. I mean, there's nobody. In fact, I think those people that at the West Memphis church, they've run out of things to be mad at. I had someone tell me that they were at Comic-Con because they felt like cosplay was like a religion.
Yeah,
you're worshiping false idols.
Yeah, I was like, really? I was like, they're not screaming about heavy metal because there's no heavy metal bands really anymore. I mean, it's not
mainstream at least.
No, it's not like the way it was in the 80s, and into the 90s. But
mainly because people like me keep confusing Meatloaf for metal.
No, he's like, I don't know what you would call him, stage. He was like almost like a Broadway show.
He's definitely a powerhouse in whatever genre he does.
Yes, but I wouldn't call. I mean, like,
it's bombastic.
To me, here's a weird thing. I always thought the Grateful Dead would be like, when I found Black Sabbath, I said, okay, what else? I was like a sponge. Okay, somebody said, hey, Grateful Dead. I was like, well, Grateful Dead gotta be heavier than Black Sabbath. They gotta be meaner and. Oh boy, was that a depressing?
No, they're like the Electric Light Orchestra if they were a little bit more depressed.
I mean, they're talented musicians. I can't knock the talented, but it's like when you're a kid and you're looking for like some heavy duty rock and you're just like, you got this platform of Black Sabbath to go by, and then you go think like, oh, the Grateful Dead, they're grateful to be dead. Wow, okay, this is
gonna be like the '70s version of Gwar. Like they gotta dress up like fucking zombies and shit on stage.
Yeah, they gotta be really crazy. And I was like, oh no, they're not that.
They gotta have songs about necrophilia and something like.
Oh, hey, that's where you gotta come in, Sheldon. Tell him about that movie.
Aftermath. Yes.
Ask my
the sequel to Math. Yes.
No. If you'd be interested in reviewing a movie about necrophilia, I can't wait to listen to that episode.
One good stiff deserves another.
I don't think we have no governing body, so we
yeah, okay, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's true. There is a governing body. There's the mallet now.
There's the mallet. That's what I'm going to write on the mallet. The governing body.
The governing body. That's the extra segment after the WTF.
Yeah. Well, as much as I'm enjoying the movie, the music conversation.
Yeah, I know.
Now that you mentioned, we go back to mention about one movie. Maybe we should actually talk about the movie we watched this week.
Yeah, we did watch a movie, didn't we?
We did.
Yes, we did. I think we all did.
And honestly, I cannot wait to dig into this one because it is fantastic. So
half the time I send Sheldon screenshots just to make sure I'm watching the actual intended movie, because I don't want to show up here with a bunch of notes and be like, remember that scene where the lady jumped off the building, and we're like, wait, what? No, we did. No,
it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen sometime. I know it.
Should I give the fun fact? Can I give a fun fact now, or do you want to?
Well, we introduce the movie and then we give.
All right, go ahead. All right, I'll shut up now. I did. I think I did a lot of talking.
That's all right. That's
only
good.
30
I know.
minutes.
You know,
I'll let you guys banter a little, and I'll catch my.
in
I'll
an
just take a sip of
audio
water.
format show, talking is good.
Yes, I know.
Oh, yeah.
I told you.
So
I told you. I think I delivered what I promised.
absolutely. So yeah, let's stare into this
Yeah.
movie because I can't wait.
Yeah.
So Mike, why don't you tell everybody what we've got for them this week?
Today's episode is What's in Your Head? Because we watched Zombie. Actually, it's just Zombie, but I couldn't resist because you know me.
It's Zombie or Zombie 2 or Zombie with an I. What?
Yeah, it's zombie. Yeah, it's zombie with an eye. I think it's even. Was it called the Flesh Eaters?
I thought it was Zombie with
Island
two
of
eyes.
Flesh Eaters or something.
Yeah,
Like,
something
depending
like
on
that.
where you're from,
You
this
were-
movie
yeah.
is going to have a different name.
It's gonna have a different title.
Yeah. So before we get started, let me just give you a little bit of info about Zombie. It was released in 1979 under name Zombie or Zombie 2 or Island Flesh Eaters. It's an Italian film directed by Lucio Fulci. It had a budget of approximately $253,000 US and had a box office return of approximately $1.8 million. That, of course, is not including home video sales and rentals. As for the plot, a New York reporter follows a woman to a Caribbean island cursed by voodoo and whose dead residents rise and attack the living. Now, like we said, there's might be a little confused about the title because depending on where you live, it could be under a different name. The running title is Zombie 2 because zombie with an I is a European name of George Romero's Dawn of the Dead, which was released a year earlier to this one. They named the film Zombie 2 as a way to allude that it was a sort of sequel to Zombie or Dawn of the Dead.
No,
Even
Sheldon.
though
Sheldon. Let's tell the audience the truth. They wanted to capitalize on George Romero's hit.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm just
That's
joking.
the story to tell
That-
people.
hey,
Now,
that's-
really, no, it was just a way
No,
to cash.
no illusions. This was.
that.
We want to make money.
Exactly.
This was Zombie Gaiden.
Yes. And so, of course, now, when it got released to North American audiences, the title of Zombie 2 made no sense since there was no real, prequel.
Right.
So they just simply named it Zombie.
Which is good enough.
Yeah, which makes perfect
It's the
sense.
point.
So now you're caught up on that. So if you're looking for it if you're in North America listening to this, if you haven't seen this one, just search the name Zombie and you should find it.
Yeah, or look up Lucio Fulci Zombie.
Just-
That'll help it. That'll help you out.
Yeah. Just Fulci zombie. That's how I always refer to them as the Fulci zombies.
That's the best way, honestly,
Yes.
for identifying it. That's the way to make sure you're going to get the right movie.
Yep.
So I think, Mike, this was the first time you saw this movie, I think, right, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you asked me when I said we were watching this one, and I sent the link, and you said Zombie 2. Are we going to watch Zombie 1 first? So I had to go to I didn't even try to explain it. I just sent you the Wikipedia entry explaining how it got its name.
Wikipedia said it best.
Yeah.
And it does have, I think, 3 sequels, but I never watched any of them.
I haven't seen any of them either, and it was a long time since I watched this one. I watched it this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Catch up on it. So, Robert, when was the first time you saw this movie?
Well, I can't remember the exact year, but I was very young in the early 80s.
Mm-hmm. Much younger than you should have been for
Well,
watching a movie like this,
No,
right?
no, my parents were cool. As long as I didn't get into trouble, I was rewarded with exceptionally
Violent content.
exceptionally forgiving parents. until you got in trouble. Then you got in trouble. Then
Yeah.
then you got in trouble. You were banned. But yeah, and I had a very cool. I had a lot of very cool people that it would take more hours of me talking, which you don't want anymore at this point. I had a lot of cool people in my life and a lot of cool situations that allowed me to see things that I shouldn't.
Right.
Keep it up, and
No.
we might have to have our own podcast just for conversations with you.
I know.
It'll be our first Graveyard Shift spinoff.
Oh. Yes,
Talking with
think,
Robert Christopher.
Yeah, I think I've earned my return visit.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We got more stuff to talk about.
I was, I would say 13. Probably.
Okay, that's not so bad.
That wasn't that bad.
So it's okay for the boobs.
Yes, and the Shark versus Zombie.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. Yeah.
And the scuba scene, you don't really see anything, but he pointed in the general direction of a vagina. So
yeah. Well, it wasn't a whole lot left to the imagination.
No, it was a very diaphanous bathing suit she had on. So
if by that you mean sheer as fuck, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was good. Hey, you were 13 for back then. You know what I'm saying? That was good enough. And I really wasn't looking for boobs.
And it was like a skin tone suit, so
it was very thin.
Before the year 2000 came along and hit pornography like a ton of bricks, you could be like, that's what a vagina looks like without hair. Because it's just hugging those curves. There has to be a porn horror movie out there.
There is horror porn.
Oh yes, of course.
Just like this.
I'll send you a few titles later, Mike.
Yeah.
Oh, we can save this for. This will be for your return visit, which is a lock, by the way.
Okay, thank you. And I'll be lenient on the mallet.
Well,
we might have
since
to
we had lots to we all pretty much agreed that this was just an awesome movie. We can dive right into it. Let's talk about what we liked about it.
Yes, you go first, Mike, because I'm going to stay quiet.
Yeah, Mike.
Otherwise, we'll go into pornography for an hour.
And don't forget, Mike, I've got the mallet right here. So
he's got the mallet, and don't talk about the font.
Okay, so my second
No, it's okay. You can talk about the font. I'm only kidding.
I like the cold open was it was neat, and then you just had that nice flash on the screen and good credits. Like we had excellent music. It was a great way to open up the movie. Like we've encountered movies with bad music.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So this I liked. It was a good introduction. Let you know we're in for a time with someone who respects the craft.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Even the font was a little on that black background. It was just and the sharp angles. It was an imposing font.
Yeah.
So it was good.
You were happy with the font.
All right. Good.
That's a good start for Mike. That's a good start.
Yeah.
Well, it just shows that extra bit of care.
Okay.
Good point.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to kick off right. I'm not going to get into anything specific because I want to talk about some specific scenes later. So this is just going to be an overall thing. But I freaking love the gore in this movie. It was just the way I like my gore. All practical, made with prosthetics. They're homemade fake blood. The blood looked fantastic.
Fantastic blood.
Absolutely.
They actually had to care about the blood because there was no CGI to they couldn't go, okay, you know what, in post we'll just add some blood. No, you had to do that practical and make the blood. It was a good color red. It didn't look like a candy apple.
No,
make it look like it shows up well on camera. Make it the color so that the camera's going to pick it up.
And good viscosity.
Oh, and the pumping, the way it just when you it looked like a vein was sliced.
Yeah.
Yes.
And some of the scenes when a zombie bites somebody, when they tear off a chunk of flesh, some skin, all look great. It's very well done.
Oh, the elasticity of the skin when they peel back a bite. It's not oh look, you squeeze something in you could tell he had ketchup in his fist or something. This was excellent gore.
Very, very, very high quality. He had to care about the blood because if it looked bad, especially the bites and the skin ripping off, then you really don't got much of a movie. You got kind of a bad overdub, foreign film that's got cheesy blood, and it won't resonate. Except that it's always got the iconic shot of the World Trade Center. Other than that, what do you got? You got nothing. So to me, the blood scores a 10 out of 10 because I've seen movies afterwards where they had way more budget, and I'm saying you can't take 5 minutes and make good blood. You can
Yep.
buy it. Go to a Hollywood shop. They'll tell you which blood. They actually have a blood that you could pour, and a blood that actually squirts good. It's got a
Yep.
different. It's got a different viscosity. Again, I'm using that big word.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, like one has to look like the blood is clotting
Right. One is
over an open wound, and others is just like
Right.
it has to it has to fly out of a
yeah. It has
a
to
tube.
squirt. Yeah, it has to come out of the squib. So, yeah, it was 10 out of 10 on the blood. Which back then that was it. That was like you were happy.
Yeah, for sure.
You were satisfied. If you're a gore hound, you should watch this movie and then you could tell Mike about or Sheldon how much you enjoyed the blood.
Yeah, it's gore done good.
Mm-hmm.
No CGI.
Okay, so Robert, yeah, like give us something like something in particular that you liked about this one.
I like the score.
Yeah.
And my little nugget here is that pounding sound that you hear.
Oh yeah.
It's not a drum. What he wanted to do was give you the effect of a zombie coming out of a coffin. So what he did was smack a microphone. Believe it or not, he's hitting it with his hand. That dump before the keyboard, the synths come in. So that's
really?
that's my little Godzilla nugget. Yep, he was hit. He didn't use a drum. He used his hand on a microphone. I was like, wow, that because he wanted it to have that like empty box, like the old style coffins. That's that's what I heard. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I heard or what I read. I think, and I like the sensor. I know Mike is gonna come in on this one and talk about how the people just suddenly freeze and let zombies bite them, but I know that's a WTF or a negative. But you got to admit that the sense of dread, even though it's daylight and it's on a beach, there's a sense of dread to the slow zombie with their eyes closed, or the ones with maggots in their eyes. That it's like a never-ending force that's coming at you. And it's not cheesy, it's not overact. It's not like people that love being zombies and want to like overact, and it's not like 28 Days Later zombies or any of the modern kind of zombies. It's just like a slow, like it's like Doom coming after you.
Yeah.
It's like just like a
It's like
black
a
evil
lurching,
yeah.
unstopping doom.
Yes, an unrelenting, powerful
Yeah, they
force.
don't
Kind
even
of like
really.
a lava flow.
Yeah.
Like they don't even really look threatening until they're right on you.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not threatening until you try to leave out the back of the house and, oh, they're also there too. Well, I'll just go out oh shit, they're out the windows.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right. And Mike, what do you got for us next?
All my notes are in chronological order, so
Sorry about that.
what I liked was when the reporter, he's sneaking on the boat, she follows him in, she discovers him, and then when the cop comes in, they have this make out and staged fight for the cop as like some cover for being there, which I don't see why she needs it since it is like her dad's boat. But I guess it's like still an active crime scene.
Yeah, that's what I put in my notes. I was going to say the same thing. Like it's her really like, technically her property, her dad's, but it's still an active crime scene. So I guess that's why they don't want anyone fucking around on there.
Yeah, so that little fight that they have, including like bringing in like the whole "Your Mother," it really lightened me up. That was
good.
It was
a pretty good improv for sure.
I will not knock Mike on any of the negatives because I agree.
Yeah,
But I oversee the negatives to enjoy the positives.
for sure.
We don't try to rate this like, well, it had more negatives, so
No.
I don't recommend this movie. Like, there's a movie where it is like a ton of negatives and only like one positive, but I can still be like, you still got to see it.
Yeah.
There's entertainment
sure.
value there.
Well, I think Pieces was our big turd de resistance.
I don't know. I know I saw it, but I don't remember it. If I rewatch it, I'm sure.
But as
I'm gonna die.
ridiculous and awful as Pieces is, I recommend it to everybody to see it.
But wasn't
Oh
there?
shit! I didn't mean Pieces. I meant Truth or Dare.
Oh yeah, it was same thing. I recommend everyone see Truth Dare as well.
Well, but wasn't there like a real period where a lot of the movies were like hit and miss. Like you had Friday the 13th, but then you like had like Mother's Day or Happy Birthday,
Sleepaway Camp,
1-800-EVIL.
Yeah.
There was some of the Night Prowler. Some of them were like, okay, I have 10 minutes of movie. What do I do to fill in the rest? And they have like nothing. And then you have like
Troll 2.
there was a lot of that. So that's what I'm saying. This movie was not like, at least it was coherent from beginning to end. There was no, okay, we don't know what to do here, so we're gonna put like a 20-minute dance scene, so we could kill time.
Yeah, there's no filler.
There's no filler. No,
Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. That's another one.
That was made by Roger Ebert. He wrote that. Yep.
Yeah, just think, a guy that like somehow made a career telling other people how to make movies.
Oh God,
made that.
If you could parlay something that started on PBS and you can get it onto network television, make money, good for you.
Yeah, he's one of those people that can perfect the art of failing upwards.
Yep.
Okay, he's beloved by some people. Not horror fans.
What a great way to say. What a great way to not affirm.
I know.
What
a backhanded comment. No, because I know a lot of horror fans just hate him because he's that guy that's always going to tell you, oh, you're a misogynist, and I was like, how am I? It's the Evil Dead. I'm not gonna go get a stick and go rape a woman with this. You know what I'm saying? And they bring.
So he's one of those fun suckers.
Yeah, he was. Oh,
he's
he always.
Blanket.
Yeah, he didn't get it. I don't think he got. I think he loved. He grew up in that time period of those classic Hollywood movies, and I don't think he got like
he never left it.
That we were gonna watch these movies and then go outside and probably forget it 5 minutes after we watched it, because that was the generation where you went out, you rode your bike, you went to camp, you did stuff, you hung out with your friends.
You whittled.
You whittled. Yeah. I wasn't gonna. If anything, I was trying to get a girl's phone number or try to kiss her. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna try to have any kind of misogynistic thoughts from watching this.
Yeah, it's like you came from that generation where, like, if you see, like, monkey see, monkey do.
I guess I don't know what his beef was with, but he really didn't like.
He even hated video games. Like, ooh, it's not art. And I'm like, yeah. Play Final Fantasy. Like, just watch footage of Final Fantasy VI. It's got like an opera scene. It has like a woman, like, after being surrounded by death and grief, in her grief, she throws herself off a cliff. Like, there is story and pathos and feeling in that.
Yes. There was several games where I don't know if did you play The Last of Us?
No, but I heard it was like a real tearjerker.
It was.
Yeah, it is.
I really felt we're going off on a tangent again. Let's stick to the movie. I don't go on, but I'm saying I know what you're saying.
Sheldon, write it down for our third episode with him.
Oh yeah, I know. No matter what you do, there's always going to be somebody out there that's going to do it. And when those kids, I don't know when they did it, if they would have watched a movie where they had a shotgun, a rifle, they were going to use it. You know what I'm saying? Because there's nothing you can't baby-proof the world.
Or if you're me and you watch somebody do a suplex, of course you're going to try it on the kid next door with glasses.
Oh, yeah. But you didn't kill anybody. Those kids they would claim
his collarbone recovered.
Okay. Back to the movie.
Okay.
What movie? What movie?
Well, I know. These poor people.
These are all previews for upcoming episodes.
Okay.
Okay, Sheldon.
So something I want to bring about this movie, and I think everybody that's seen this movie, as soon as you ask anyone, have you seen, Lucio Fulci's Zombie? First thing you bring up is like, oh yeah, is that where the zombie fights the shark? And like, oh my god, that was such a good scene.
Another nugget.
Oh, excellent underwater film work.
Do you have the nugget?
Or is it about the shark's trainer?
Yeah, and the shark's teeth?
Yeah, the shark's teeth are filed down.
No, they pulled them all out.
Or they pulled out. They're missing completely.
Missing completely, yeah. And that the underwater zombie is the shark. I don't know how you could be a shark handler. Like, what is this? Shark's going to listen to you all of a sudden?
Yeah, how do you train a shark exactly?
I don't know, but whatever. It was damn cool for the time, let me tell you, because
I never lotion on its fin, or else it gets the prod again.
There was no YouTube, so this was the craziest thing you could possibly see. Is like a shark biting a zombie underwater.
it was like so bizarre. Like
It was weird.
a zombie actually showing like some sort of feel, like he like skill. Like he took up a stance when he's like backing up against it. It's like, this is totally uncharacteristic for a zombie, but it's still awesome.
They totally went off the track with like how the zombies in this movie behaved, but it didn't matter just because the scene was so freaking awesome. From the start, first when the lady encounters the zombie first of all, and he's got like seaweed and coral growing off his head and everything.
He's been there a while.
Yeah.
Yes. But how else were you going to do that? Were you going to have him, slowly, and he's underwater.
Exactly.
He's gonna float. We know he's an actual human being. So, what are you gonna do? If you're a filmmaker, you go, okay, fuck it. He's not gonna be the slow shuffling zombie. He's gonna be the creepy zombie that's been hiding in the whatever cave underwater, and is gonna grab the woman.
And he's been working on his shark fighting plan.
Yes.
Everybody has a zombie plan. He had a shark plan.
Yeah. And she had balls because she came back up too. She said, "Hey, there's a shark," and then she went back down.
Yeah.
So give her props. She wasn't your talk about misogyny and all this shaping of the female. Hey, this female had guts. She said, "Okay, I'm going to come back up. Let everybody know. Let the guy get his gun to go shoot the shark." And she went back down under. She wasn't the crying. She wasn't the crying. Hey. I'm the woman. I'm gonna go run and I'm gonna go fall down. As the creature comes after me.
Yeah.
For what purpose? Because she couldn't swim back to the boat. There was a shark there. The shark was in front of her then. The shark was in front of her.
Yeah.
And she had her oxygen tank, so she could go back under. She's like, what would you rather have? Some guy dive in and wrestle the shark? We're gonna have like Alligator Man and Shark Man. Did you see that show, that Alligator Man show?
I've heard of it, yeah.
I haven't seen it either. I just saw a commercial. I know it's old. It's like maybe 6-7 years ago. But he was wrestling alligators. He's got no teeth because his friend. Talk about horror movie. His friend, no less. They were cutting a tree or something, and the chainsaw hit him in the mouth. So that's why he lost all his teeth.
Jesus.
Wow. Yeah, exactly. So. Let's not have anybody dive in, because who would dive in with a shark?
Yeah, really.
I wouldn't dive in. I would get a gun too.
What about the guy that Frenched a chainsaw? Let's send him.
Okay, and
let's get back on track.
So Mike, what else did you want to bring up for something that like stood out to you, for something you really liked about this one?
Susan Barrett, just like her ending wasn't. Like it's not in the likes column, but everything else about her is. It's like when she gets on the boat, when we meet her for the first time, she's got like this sheer shirt on, no bra, and just talking with strangers. Like her nipples aren't there for everyone to see. like God bless this girl for her. God bless this girl for her cavalier attitude. And then when she decides to go skydiving, screw the wetsuit, just strip down. It's like 31 minutes into the movie, boob shakalaka.
I agree.
Yep.
And the worst part is she only did like 4 movies.
Yes, didn't she pass away like a little while ago?
No, there were other ones, but I don't know. Like I couldn't find anything about her, but to be honest, my research kind of died out after. I was just like, oh, there aren't any other movies where I could see her caramel nipples. No, okay.
She was definitely good eye candy.
Oh, for sure.
Yep, especially when you're 13.
And like everything, and like even later in the movie where she's just like, oh, the camshaft's busted, we're gonna have to go into dock, and I'm just like, and she's still naked for that too. It's like, shit, Susan Barrett, topless underwater photographer, topless underwater mechanic.
And she gets the best bite of them all too.
Oh, excellent!
She's the excellent. She's the. I don't know why all of a sudden she decides to just stand there and not walk away, but
she was intelligent until that point.
Okay,
and it's not like they hadn't seen zombies before. The surprise and shock are gone. At this point, you're just like, oh, it's one of those things. We need to run. But no, she employs the time-honored tactic of stare and scream.
Stare. No, she didn't
Maybe
scream
a man will save me.
She didn't scream until she got bit.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
The screaming would have saved her because the guy would have been like, "Oh shit, one of the zombies double backed on us."
Whatever.
Or,
they got to
run.
They got that good shot of the bite and looks and the stretch was good. The blood was good. Everything was good. The whole even though the setup was bad, if you want to say, because she's just like shocked and stumped for some reason, but the bite
she shouldn't.
But the payoff is good. So
yeah,
we'll call that one even.
Yeah. Yeah, the actress that played her unfortunately passed away in 2006 at the age of 59.
Wow. That's young.
What did she do? Do you have any idea what she did after she stopped acting?
No idea. No.
No, she just continued being gorgeous somewhere else.
I guess so, yeah.
No, what else was a good scene when they all are all in the car the Jeep, and they go to the woman's. Oh, we forgot the eye.
Yeah,
gouge.
There's something we need to talk about before we get to that scene.
The eye gouge.
Yes, Robert, you take this one.
No. I've talked enough. You eye gouge.
Okay. Yeah, we'll simply call this one the eyeball scene. Good God, this is, and I knew this the first time I saw this movie. I had heard about this scene. Before I watched this movie, like way back whenever, I knew about two scenes. I knew about the shark scene.
Yep. Yes.
And I knew about the eyeball scene.
Yes.
Brilliantly filmed, just like such a good way they did it, where she hides away in this closet, pushes some furniture in front of the door. Zombie gets his hand through, pulls her towards the hole, because they just want to eat her. But as they're pulling her towards this gaping hole, there's a piece of the broken door poking out towards her face. And they just pull her eyeball straight into this piece of wood, this jagged piece of wood.
And the suspense, like, you just think maybe she'll pull away, maybe oh fuck, she's not pulling away. Oh my God.
Isn't that what's missing in today's horror films? She's gonna get that piece of splintered wood is gonna go into her eye. It wasn't in slow motion either, but the way it was shot made you like, oh my God, it's coming. Oh, and then finally, and then even as it was going in, you still were like, oh my God, and then
it's still going. Oh,
it's still going on. Yeah, it's like, oh my God, it's in her eye. So
at that point, I'm just like, please eat me. I don't want to live like this anymore.
Yeah, it was gratuitous violence, but they in a measured tone, if I could say that. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but it's like in the context of the whole film, it was the one thing that you saw that was gratuitous, but it didn't ruin it for you. It wasn't like today where it's like excessive violence, and then with no point. This was like, okay, the zombie was there, and it literally had a point.
Yeah, No, it was great. Like, it was a great scene.
It's
like and the way that she played it off too. Like, the way that the actress did it, because she's screaming in terror because, of course, a zombie's got her by the hair, right?
Rip her scalp off.
Yeah, and is pulling her towards this thing, and she's screaming in terror. And then all of a sudden she realizes, holy crap, besides this, now I've got this, this jagged piece of wood just about to go through my eye. And her screaming is nonstop, but you can tell at, the point where it changes from a terror scream to just excruciating pain.
Yes. The transition. Well, and a well-acted gratuitous violent scene.
Yeah. No, it's such a strange thing to say, but
I know.
In a way, it's one of the most beautiful scenes in this movie. Yeah. I don't want to say, and not beautiful in just so well done.
No, you appreciate the directors or whoever edited that scene, because you could have just made it, grab her by the hair and zoom. This thing goes right in, but it wasn't. It was like a slow build.
Oh, you savored it.
It was like, yeah, exactly. It was like the tension. It was savored. It was, and then when it was going into the eye, it wasn't like they cut away and said, okay, that's it, it's enough. No, you build the tension, goes into the eye, and then all the way into the socket, and then
And
then
then
the scene ends.
sure, they jolt her head sideways and like snap off the wood and pull her through the closet door with this piece of wood still sticking out of her eye.
Yes.
That lady, she ruled every scene. Like the first scene she's in, she's yelling at the guy, and then he slaps her. And I was just thinking, like, she deserves it, not because she's like being a woman or all that, but this guy's like got his mind focused on curing this plague, and she's just like tearing into him when he's trying to cure this plague, and like he does not need that kind of discouragement right now. But the ADR work was so loud on that slap, like it's like if I got hit with that, I would have been sent into the bookcase, Ash Williams style.
Yeah.
But still, like, this guy's like keeping you hostage on an island, and you try to piss him off and taunt him.
I think I rewatched it to remember the movie. I didn't listen because I have the score in my head anyway. It was done by Fabio Fabrizi, another nugget. He also did Kill Bill. He had some music in Kill Bill.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't listen. Wasn't listening for because I was more entranced with the music instead of the ADR, and
Always
I think
leave it to me to focus on the
yes.
on the
I know.
shit.
I know you, Mike. Now I know you. That's why we got the mallet. But I think they had to do that because of the bad dub.
There were problems with the dub.
Yes,
but,
I know.
But while
I think that's why the mix wasn't as Mike approved, as it could be. I think because of I don't know. I don't know how much time. It sounds like they didn't have much of a budget, but they made the most of the budget, and maybe they had to do it real quick.
They couldn't afford to pay that engineer for that extra 5 seconds it took to turn down the knob on the volume for that scene.
Okay. I'm not gonna knock you on this one. I know the dub is bad, and he's gonna be the font and listening to the sound. But I'm like that too because
Font and Foley. That's gonna be my new nickname.
Yeah, I was just
Font
gonna say
and Foley.
Font and Foley. But I listen to the Foley too sometimes, and I go, "Wow, that's awfully loud." I was like, "How much did you like add like 5 compressors to that?" Well, it's like how much more do you kind of compress? I know everybody's listening with the earbuds, but holy cow! It's like that slap could have been like, what did you like record that in a hangar or something?
Yeah, that lady could take a hit because I was sure with that volume, like it was basically like an open-handed punch. We get to see Slappy getting her shower scene, and my exact note here is, "Wow, what an eyeful." 2 minutes later, what an appropriate turn of phrase.
Yeah. Imagine getting like that happens, so you get this huge like sliver of wood driven to your eye, and that's like and your day is only going to go downhill from there.
Yeah.
At that point, getting eaten would just be like, oh well, at least I don't have to deal with this eye pain anymore.
I'd be like, just go for the jugular, make it quick, please.
Yeah, I agree. Just bite me, and I want to join you. No more eye gouges for me.
Boy, that sure was fun hearing about that girl in the eye. Ugh.
Obviously, yes, definitely, probably, without doubt, actually. I don't even have to say probably. That was my favorite scene of the movie. But, guys, we've got to cut it right there because while we did a lot of talking in this episode, I guess is the best way to put it. And after Mike and I talking a bit, when Mike was doing the editing for this episode, there was too much conversation that to put in one episode, but it was
too good to cut out.
Yeah, we don't want it to just disappear. It was a lot of stuff that is relevant and some great points and some hilarious stuff. We didn't want to cut it, so instead what we've decided to do is to just deliver this episode in 2 parts.
Yeah, so this is just the first half. We've only just begun.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is you guys have just listen to part 1. And on Friday, we are going to release part 2 to give you some time to ingest part 1, so you'll get time to chew on that for a little while, and then on Friday we will release part 2 for you guys so you can hear the conclusion of the episode. And hopefully you'll be okay with it. Like I said, we were having fun, and the recording kind of got away from us, I guess is the best way to put it.
What happens when a guest is just too interesting?
Yeah. And so we were having a blast, but yeah, once we realized we'd stop recording, we had about 3 hours worth, and just too much. So there you go. You have part 1. Part 2 is on its way. Hope you guys would join us again for part 2 on Thursday. And on Friday. Jeez, sorry. I'm tired, man. It's late.
It was exhausting making this, editing it, but this is just to let you know, this is still, like, despite all our talk about this being long, this is the trimmed down version. If you want to hear the complete version in one segment with all filler and killer, you can check out our bonus issue at the Patreon at patreon.com/graveyard. If this massively bounteous episode was just not enough for you.
Exactly. So guys, yeah, hopefully next Friday you'll come back and join us for part 2 of our coverage of Zombie. Until then, I'm Sheldon.
And I'm Mike.
And thank you for joining us on the Graveyard Shift. Ha 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 ha